Good morning, I'm Christopher Brannon with the Coeur d'Alene Public Library and the Cooperative Information Network.
And I'm George Williams at the Northeast Kansas Library System in Lawrence, Kansas.
And we've got a great episode for you today, but first, as always, we are hosted by koha-US, a great resource for those of you using Koha. And you will always find our videos on the Learn tab under video playlists, and you'll find our latest episode always at the top, and all of our episodes prior under each season. And we also have some other great video references on this page, as well as other fantastic resources that you can find through our Learn page. And this week, we are going to be talking about locking down Koha, specifically locking it down to where only specific people can change the library in Koha. When we first got into Koha, everybody had the ability to change what library was set in Koha, not only when you log in, but as you're working. And for us, this caused some issues with information, because some people would change libraries if they were a person that was working with multiple branches. They could change their library as needed, but they'd forget to change it back. And so if they did something for one branch and was in the wrong branch, that would start to cause some problems for their data and for their materials. So this can cause a material routing issue if you don't pay attention to it. So that's why we decided to lock this particular setting down. I don't know about you, George. Do you have any?
I've had the exact same situation. I've had somebody call me from one library saying, every time I check a book in, it says route to my library. How come? And it's because they'd selected the wrong library from the dropdown. And so everything they were checking in was being checked in as if it was a library at a library 10 miles away, because they made a mistake when they logged in. They selected, they changed the dropdown when they logged in accidentally. And so there were about 60 books that she had checked in that she had to go back, change her relog in and at the correct location, and then check those all in again. So and that's just one example. I've had dozens of examples like that.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, there may be some libraries that handle multiple branches, and there are going to be ways that you can isolate specific users and exclude them from this. So if you have a branch manager or a staff member at a particular group of libraries that handles more than one branch, you can exclude them from being able to. You can exclude them from not. How do I say this?
You can make it possible for them to change
Yes,
branches.
Exactly.
You're trying to use too many double negatives there.
Yes. So we're not going to show that portion right now. We're just going to show the very basic how to prevent people from changing the libraries. With one exception, if you're a super librarian, then you'll be able to switch libraries. So we'll go ahead and show that today. So to start off, I'm going to go ahead and log out of our demo site for a moment and show just what people see when they log in and what they can do. Now this is your typical Koha login, and you may see something slightly different depending on whether you have cash registers or the cash registers enabled.
I believe there also is a system preference that allows you to say that people can't change libraries. The reason that I don't use that is because I do, like you, I have libraries. We have a school district, and the people at the school district need to be able to log in to each individual library, and they need to be able to change libraries. And I have another library that's a district that has 4 branches, and the people at those 4 different branches need to be able to log in and change libraries to any of those libraries in that district. But there is a way that you can just tell Koha with the system preference, nobody's allowed to change libraries. You log in, that's your library, and you can never change it. We needed something more flexible, and that's why you wrote. That's the same reason you wrote this code. If you're at a single branch and you don't need to change libraries, that works. If you're at a multi-branch system and nobody needs to ever change libraries, then you can just use the system preference. This is kind of an intermediate step that gives you the best of both worlds.
Yeah. And one thing that you're not seeing here, I have this in my code, but I'm not seeing it on this page, so we may not have this particular feature set in our demo page. Apparently, there could be a setting for the desk as well on this login page. I don't think we have desks set up on the demo by default. So, you have lots of options just as you're logging in, and when you're logging in, we're treating the login a little bit differently with our code. So we're going to have a little bit of CSS here too, and we're just going to knock out the library and the register, and if you have a desk, knock that out as well, because we're just going to make this a simple login page, because you can change all these things from within Koha, and it just made it simpler just to not give this option, because we're not going to we're not going to make it so complex that we determine if you've typed in this name, then go ahead and show all of these options. It just didn't make any sense, because you could do it from within after you've logged in. So we just made it simple for that. But I'm going to go ahead and log in, and there's a couple places that we're going to address. The first is this drop down here. We have a menu item up in the upper right hand menu that says set library and cache register. So that's one item that we're going to remove with this code today. And the other one is in the circulation page. Again, you'll have that there, but also they've added a button for set library. And so we're gonna address both of these with today's hack. So okay. I'm going to start off by, first of all, I'm going to add some CSS to take care of that login page. As I said, we're just going to remove that, and CSS is the easiest way to do it because we don't have to put any logic in here. So we're just basically looking for the branch and its label. So the branch drop down and its label, and then the same for the other elements. We've got the desk that we're taking care of. So it's taking care of the label and the desk drop down. And then we've got the cache register. So it's the register _ ID and then the label for that. And we're just telling it to not display. So I'll save that. And I'm going to grab just one line of code here. And this is basically all you need in order to wipe out the menu setting in the upper right hand corner for setting libraries. So I could leave it just as this, and this would take care of it. But there are a couple of other things that we want to address here. First of all, on the circulation page, if you look at the circulation page, there's also that set library button. We need to get rid of that. And I can't just wipe out a button that has set library in it on that page, because if I do, I might end up wiping out the entire menu. I've learned that from past experience. So what we're going to do is add another line here. And this looks for specifically that page. And again, it looks like it's doing the exact same thing, but in this case, I have to specify to look in just the unordered list buttons on there. So I'm actually, if I right click on this, inspect. So here's this list item that contains set library, but in this case, I have to specify the unordered list because up here, this menu item has the words set library in it, and it's in a list item. And if I just did this without the unordered lists buttons list, it would take out the entire menu. So I have to tell it just that specific item. So it's looking just for that button in this case and wiping that out. So that works. This is in its simplest form, but there are cases where we don't want to wipe out the super librarians. We want to be able to give some people that ability. And this will be a good example if you wanted to be able to set it up for other people. You can make this a little bit more complex. But we're going to add some logic to this. And that logic is going to be, I'm going to just type this one out. Set this in, add an if statement to this. If, now, if I just put this in like this, I'm looking for the span that has the logged in username. And if that has a class of is super librarian, then it would do this. But the problem, oh, my parenthesis there, that's why it's not setting correctly. There we go. But the problem with this logic is, well, okay, first of all, let me just point out what it is that we're looking for. So I'm looking for this class. I'm looking for, basically, if I inspect this, I'm looking for the span logged in username. And also looking for this class is underscore super librarian. But the problem with this particular logic is if I leave it as is, it's going to remove it only for the super librarian, which is the opposite of what I want to do. So if I put in front of this inside my parenthesis for the if statement an exclamation point, it's going to do the opposite. And it's going to, if it finds the this element, the logged in username, and it has the class of is super librarian as well, it's not going to do this. And if that doesn't match, then it will do this. So that's what that logic is for. So I'm going to save this. And I'm going to let you, George, go ahead and test that.
Okay, so I'm going to log in, and you can't see the drop downs that that should be there. The library, desk, and cash register, those are all gone. And so let me log in. And if I go up here to the drop down, I don't see set library. And if I go to circulation, I don't see the set library button. And then up here, I don't see the set library part of the dropdown. So it works exactly the way you just described it.
Perfect. And then of course, if you're a super librarian, it will still hold on.
Yeah.
It will still show.
If I log out and log back in with my administrative password, there it is. And if I go to circulation, there it is.
Perfect. As I mentioned at the beginning, you can do a more complex logic with this. You can look for specific users and also exclude them from this. I've got I've got some different setups in ours because prior to that that element having the is super librarian class, I had to distinguish specific people as super librarians. So prior to that, I was having to go about it a slightly different way. So just prior to this episode, we were reinventing the code a little bit to simplify it. So there you have it, a nice, simple way of locking that feature down to improve the workflow within Koha. Even though it seems like we're stripping down a feature, we're improving the workflow by eliminating mistakes within Koha.
Yeah.
All right. So as always, this code will be available on the wiki. I'll put the CSS and the jQuery together on the jQuery library. And just as a reminder to everybody, you can always find our videos on our website, but you can also find us in YouTube for koha-US. And we encourage you to subscribe, to like, and to comment on our videos. We always love to hear back from everyone about our videos and what you think. And that is it for this week.
All right.
See you.
See you later, everybody.